evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Pigskin. Yes, we are live. Thanks for those that are waiting. Thanks for those that are impatient. Thanks for those that are ready to get going so that they're not going to be forced for us to mute them. By the same token, we won't be muting anybody. I'm going to introduce the crew. We got Mel Farr and Candy Eveling. Welcome back to both of y'all. And
Great to be back.
And we have
Thanks for
Marvin
having me.
Paul back in the house. Miss my man Marvin. And
Hey, fight
I
on.
go, we got Tommy tomorrow night as well. I get him 2 nights, and of course Stephen Reichel. I had him last night, so we get him for a two. So, all right, lots to get to, lots of college football, lots of pro football to get to, and that's just well. We're going to start with Marvin for just a moment. And Marvin, last week was the NFL set a record for the most amount of black quarterbacks starting in week one, and I will go over that list with you because it was a pretty impressive list, I might add. You got Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, Spencer Rattler, C.J. Stroud, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Michael Penix Jr., Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Jordan Love, Cam Ward, Jaden Daniels, Dak Prescott, Justin Fields, and Geno Smith. No Rooney Rule, as I've always said, okay? But for those of you in the past that follow this, all those, once upon a time, there was Joe Gillum, Doug Williams, Warren Moon, Cordell Stewart, Michael Vick, Rodney Pete, Charlie Batch. Okay, Marvin, what are your thoughts about the progress that's been made in that department?
It says a lot, obviously. I recall as a kid, I was looking up to Warren Moon and Randall Cunningham,
Right.
Yeah. And, I remember a narrative, where, the black athlete, couldn't lead, and you would put them in a more physical position. Obviously that's changed. That narrative has changed. And, what I could tell you is this, even though this subject comes up now, the reality is you don't really hear that anymore. You don't hear anything about that anymore, which in itself, I think represents, it says a lot about how far we've come, but it's a good thing. It's better for the game. The game doesn't need any type of racism or discrimination in it. We want the absolute best athletes you can get in the world to play in the National Football League and all of our sports leagues. But we've obviously come a long way, and I'm happy that we continue to push forward. So I think it's a good thing for the game.
Okay, Marvin, a couple of the things I want to get to that we discussed last week, and one of them is this, okay? Former Steelers wide receiver Antonio Brown is reportedly broke after amassing over $100 million in his playing career. That's sad, isn't it?
It's sad if it's true. When people say they broke, you got different levels of broke. So I don't know. I'm serious. So I don't know, what broke is to him, what that really means. But listen, at the end of the day, I think that, athletes are no different from any other young people or people, out here in America and the world. Financial education is something that not a lot of people have, a lot of people graduate from college without financial education, without knowing really how, what to do with money. So you get that in combination with the fact that he's about to get he's got a lot of money, and he got it at a time where maybe he didn't know the best thing to do with it. I can believe it. I think that's a lot of people. I think that's most people would do that. So it's sad and it's crazy because it's such a big number. But it happens. I think stuff like that happens more often than you think. As crazy as it is, it's just that when other people lose a lot of money, they're not famous. They don't play for the Steelers, so you don't hear about it. But it's sad.
Hey, Joshua Dorr, okay, the only food topics are the fillet of topics that we're dealing out tonight. So I hope you can go out there and get that as a first-class hint to not be muted or follow the Dylan Lozinski approach. I hope that message resounds loud and clear. All right, we'll continue on to this next topic with Marvin, and that being this, okay? You've got Josh Gordon selling his Super Bowl ring for $138 grand. My goodness, Marvin, is that what they go for these days?
I guess, listen, it's his asset to do what he wants to do with it. You hate to see that, but Listen, listen. We've all been in a pinch before. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, that's ever gone for it and ever been ambitious with their life, and risked it all or whatever, or been young and dumb. We've all been there. You got that asset and you want to, should I hawk it? Should I go ahead and get some money? You hate it for the person, man. You hate it for the guy. But that's just real life. That's real life for a lot of people. So, you know.
All right. Well, I'm glad we had a chance to get those out. So now onto what else we have here. The Chiefs are 0-2, and I'll tell you, they are and have lost 3 in a row, coming to the Chargers, the Eagles twice. So what do they have to fix over there? We know we got Andy Reid and you got Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are the ones that are certainly know that there's a lot of work to do. Let's start off with you, Mel.
Well, and Marvin knows this. Winning is difficult at any level, and it's really in the details. And it's not a major thing that they need to do. It's that they probably need to get back to and looking at and refining the details. What is, in the running game, being able to run the football even when they know you're going to run the football. Obviously that pass that went to Travis Kelce and bounced off his hands. I mean, that's just one of those things that happen. But really, the margins are slim in the NFL, and the difference between winning and losing is just in the details. So, it's 0-2. It's no need to panic. It's still a long season. Still got 15 more games to play. None of them are going to be easy. Obviously they have a bullseye on it. They have a target on them because they've been so successful the last number of years. They were just in the Super Bowl last year, so they're going to get everybody's best when they play the Chiefs. But they just need to get back to the basics and just look at clean up those details, whether it be penalties, whether it be holding, the sacks, the pressures on the home. They just got to get back. They got to refine those details. It's not a mass overhaul that they need to do. They can't bring anybody else in. They're stuck with who they have. They know that it works because it's worked over the last number of years. They just need to get back to playing good, solid football, making sure situational football, being able to convert on third down, making sure they're able to do that, getting off the field on third down as well, when they're on defense, and getting the ball back to Patrick Mahomes, getting more opportunities for Patrick Mahomes. So it's just really just taking care of those details and just playing one game at a time. I mean, the last 2 weeks are over. There's nothing that they can do about it. All they can do is control what's in front of them and their next opponent, who they play in front of them. And they just need to focus on the opponent that they have in front of them this week and focus on taking care of the details.
Candy?
Yeah, like Mel said, the Chiefs have been at the top of the AFC for the last couple of years. So everybody's gunning for them. I mean, they're all looking to they all are trying to measure themselves up to the Chiefs. And so they're trying to beat them. The Chiefs have a couple of key injuries too. Their two top wide receivers, I believe, are both injured this last and weren't playing this last week. So I think part of that, goes into it. They played Philadelphia 2 of those games. They're obviously the Super Bowl champs. They're a very tough opponent to start the year off with as well. So it's nothing to worry about yet, but they do need to go back to basics and, figure out exactly, clean up the mistakes, their timing. Part of it is, how much did they play in preseason and who did they all play in preseason? Right. They've got to, and they're going up against, like I said, tough opponents. And their first game was overseas, so that you throw the first game overseas and then you bring the Eagles and play the Eagles second week. That's a tough 2 weeks right there.
Marvin?
Listen, it just shows you that football is a team game. At the end of the day, all I've heard about is his baby goat and Pat Mahomes.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, this guy's special. I mean, he could definitely play the game, but it was always kind of assumed, well, as long as they have Pat Mahomes, they just you can't beat them. Listen, this is a team game. They've had great players. Team chemistry matters. As you bring guys in, guys get hurt. You lose certain leaders on the team. That matters. And you have 31 other teams out there really trying to be great. It's competitive. This league is competitive. And that's why when you get a Tom Brady who's able to go to so many Super Bowls, or you get, a Pat Mahomes who's able to have so much success so soon, we think that's special because it's so difficult and so competitive in this league. So, for them, I don't know. They got to get some guys healthy, I guess. But this league is competitive. Nobody's getting any lay down wins. And if they don't get it right, they could be looking at reality like every other NFL fan in most years.
Tommy.
Well, look, they lost to the Chargers, and the Chargers are obviously off to a very fast start with their win over the Chiefs and then beating them. They're off to a good start. They played well against Dallas and then beat Kansas City. So I don't think unless there's holes that we don't know about, injuries that are more severe than we might understand, I don't think there's anything for them to worry about. The next game is, again, you look at their schedule, though, they do have a brutal schedule. They got the Giants next. We don't know what kind of Giants team is going to show up. But then they got to play Baltimore, and then they get a break with Jacksonville, and then they got Detroit, and then they're playing the Raiders. So it's not going to be an easy road, but they are such a consistent program with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. It's far too early to be concerned.
Steven.
Listen, we already know what this team is about. Everyone's seen it. Patrick Mahomes has been carrying them for the better part of the last 2 seasons. They have no big running game. Patrick Mahomes is their leading rusher at this point in time during the season. Nothing against Isaac Pacheco. Nothing against Hunt. They are one dimensional. So at the end of the day. As Candy already said, you're down to your third receiver as being your number one right now. So there's a lot of things going on. It's early in the season. The sky is not on fire. I'm sure Kansas City fans might think it is, but not ready to set everything ablaze yet, but yes, there's things to concern. We're 2 weeks in the season. They need to clean some things up. They'll find their stride. They'll find ways to get production. Their defense is playing outside their mind right now, and everyone's freaking out because they're 0-2. They just played two of the top defenses. Two teams that had top 10 defenses in the National Football League. So at the end of the day, if you're a Kansas City fan, yes, I'm pretty sure you think that the world hates you right now. But we're week 2. If we're talking about week 8, week 10, week 12, and you're sitting there after a couple big losses, I get it. This is the first time Patrick Mahomes has lost 3 straight games in his professional career. We have to go back all the way back to 2016 since the last time that Patrick Mahomes lost 3 games in a row. It's okay. Things happen. It's not going to be the end of the world for Kansas City. They'll figure it out. They will be a playoff team. We'll have to see how good that AFC West is and what the AFC is doing. But I'm glad they're 0-2 just because you need to knock them down a peg a little bit.
Right.
But the aura has been cracked. The Eagles did that back in in February.
Yeah.
But the aura has been cracked. They're not invincible. They don't have everything going their way, and we've seen that over the past 2 weeks. Travis Kelce knocks out their number 1 receiver. There are there are things going on that doesn't normally happen in Kansas City. I get it. It's not over. They will make the playoffs. We will see them come January. All will be right in the NFL world.
I hate to bring this up, but if there's ever a time that they could use a guy like Tyreek Hill, it would be now. He would definitely.
Listen,
But
I mean, at this point in time, it might be worth losing a first round pick and maybe a player here or there to get Tyreek to come
yeah,
back.
you never know. And I got news for you. I hate bringing him up, and I won't too often. But there's a time when maybe a Tyreek Hill sighting wouldn't be the worst in the world. Hello, Eddie Prather. Glad we have a fresh person in the chat room. He did a great job with his debut. Take note, Joshua Door, last Wednesday night. This guy was great, man. He was great. He came from underneath the camera and lit it up. But yeah, Tyreek Hill, he probably would have helped this cause out. A lot more things to get to tonight. Yes, we are having some nice numbers. Well, we are growing the platform. We're working really, really hard out there. Not everybody has to comment in the chat room. Sometimes people are just watching it everywhere. So there's a lot of different ways to get viewers, and we just want people to have a good old time. That's for sure.
From the looks of it, it's all YouTube. So
yeah, it sounds like it to me. A lot of it, if not all of it, is YouTube. So
the hard work is paying off, guys. Just relax. The numbers will get there. We will get to the giveaways. Calm down.
We want to thank everybody on our YouTube side for joining us, and we have a lot more great content coming down the pipeline. So thanks for working with us, and we'll do our best to make sure that a lot more is covered. Thanks, everybody in the chat room and on YouTube. A lot more ground to cover. Things are looking a little bit ugly in Westwood, though. Oh, my goodness, are they ever looking ugly in Westwood? UCLA fires coach Deshaun Foster after 15 games. He's 0-3 this season, loses to Utah by 33. UNLV, New Mexico, playing in front of about 10,000 fans at the Rose Bowl, and they could go 0-12 with the only possible win against Northwestern. But it gets even more interesting in Westwood. The UCLA lease at the Rose Bowl runs through 2044. They have no room for an on-campus 40,000-seat stadium, and there's obviously UCLA has a budget of about $500 million, but no place to put it. My goodness. No, and Nico Lamaleva, well, he was 10-3 over at Tennessee last year. What's he doing at UCLA? He is 0-3. $8 million at Tennessee, a bucket of $1.5 million at UCLA. Now think about this. It's lost from New Mexico 35-10. Mel, I hate to do this to you, my friend, but things aren't looking too good for your peeps.
Actually, they're looking up. Things are looking better. Understand this: Nico doesn't play defense, and he needs help. We actually, we have a little group chat of former players, and we're actually having a conversation about it. And we actually had a Zoom call with the AD on Sunday. He wanted to talk to former players. He wanted to tell us what was going on, why he made the decision, when he made the decision, and just hear from us, what we had to say. I won't get into too much about what he talked about, but the one thing that he did say that is, that's out there is that we're in a different position now. Now that we're in the Big Ten, and there's money available, and we have a new president or chancellor there at UCLA that came from the University of Miami, and he understands the importance of having a successful football program. So those are all encouraging words. Now we just have to, the hard work is going out there and making the right hire and turning this thing around, because right now nobody's excited about it. There was over 100 guys on there. Troy Aikman was on there. Carnell Lake was on there. James Washington, he's the head of the collective. He was on there. Bruce Davis II was on there. A lot of guys who've done a lot of great things in the program. And Daryl Henley was there. I don't know if you guys know Daryl Henley, but he was the guy who got in some trouble when he was with the Rams, and he just got out of prison a couple of years ago. He was on the call. But so things are looking up. So the way he looks at it, he made the decision to do it right now. And they're 0-0 right now, going into the Big Ten play. Okay. Now the guys have to play for one another and try to salvage the season. There's things that there's mechanisms in place to make sure that guys are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and so forth and so on. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. I hate to see anybody lose their job, but this is a results-oriented business. We understand that. If you're not getting the results, I think Deshaun came in at a very difficult time. Chip left late, in the
Right.
in the cycle. And Deshaun had taken a job with the Raiders, and then Chip left, and then everybody wanted him to come back, and it was a difficult situation. They were transitioning from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, and unfortunately, it just didn't work out. He got an opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't just work out. He's a great guy, but it just didn't work out. Now we need to go out there. We need to hire somebody. We need to get the program back to where it was. I see you smirking over there, Marvin. We need to get the program back to where it was. This is a proud program with rich tradition. There have been some great names that have walked up and down Bruin Walk that have bled, sweat on the field there. You go all the way back to Jackie Robinson. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Walton, Arthur Ashe, Jackie Jordan-Kurtz. I mean, we have a rich history, a rich tradition at UCLA, and we need to get back to that and thumping USC on a regular basis.
Belfar Senior.
Belfar Senior, exactly. I mean, there's a bunch of them.
All right. Well, you know what, Marvin? You get to comment.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I had watched a little bit of the UCLA game last week against New Mexico State, and I promise you, we had more people. And when I was in high school, we had more people in the stands at my high school games than they had at the Rose Bowl with UCLA. It's really pathetic what's happened to their home games, the attendance, just the attraction. This is a school who, Mel, he mentions, he says the great tradition, but then he jumps to Jackie Robinson. They don't, football, we're not looking at national championships. They got a Heisman 75 years ago. I feel like they haven't really invested in football like they probably could or should. I think that's a basketball school, and I think
I agree with you. I've always said that, as I've gotten away from the university and looked back on it, UCLA is a basketball school. They care about basketball. Truly. I 100% agree with you.
And it's sad because just being where they are, situated in California, in Southern California, in Los Angeles, tons of talent out there, and it's a named school. It's a brand school. They have a big name. So it's sad to see their football program where it is. Because of the fact that they never won a national championship, I can't really ever say they've been elite, but they have a proud tradition. I could say that, I guess. But they got to do something because it's bad. It's real bad, Scott.
Okay, Tommy?
Yeah, I didn't think it could ever get that bad at UCLA. I always liked UCLA more than USC. Probably a lot of the reasons for the basketball program. But, yeah, it's sad to see. And I started wondering, I look back at some of these schedules. Past coaches and, Terry Donahue is the only stability they've had. And he's been gone since, let's see, 1995, 30 years. Looked like Bob Toledo was going to do something. I don't know what happened. The program fell off. They just haven't made good hires. And you had to think Rick Neuheisel, with the success he had at Colorado and Washington. But he turned out to be a bad hire at UCLA. Jim Bora had his moments. I don't know what happened to him. Mel would know more than me, but I didn't remember this. Jed Fish was the interim coach after Mora. And, boy, it wouldn't be nice to have Jed Fish coaching at UCLA. And then Chip Kelly, that was always going to end up going bad. I don't know why they ever hired that guy in the first place. And he kind of left the program twisting in the wind. And then Deshaun Foster had to come in. And I don't even think they really knew what the roster was when Deshaun came in. Did they, Mel? I mean, there was a lot of question marks that he took over.
And they had no quarterback. One of the reasons why Coach Donahue left, and one of the things that he said, and he wished he would have hung in there a little bit longer, is with the president in Murphy Hall. That's where the president resides. He couldn't get the support, the backing that he needed to be able to recruit the kind of players that they needed to have in order to take the program to the next level. Now we have a new guy in there, came from the University of Miami. Now this was a long time ago. There's been a couple of them since then, but now we have the guy who before this guy who's in there now came from Miami. He wanted UCLA to be the Harvard of the West. Well, that tells you what the recruiting standards were, how the recruiting standards were. Now, granted, Stanford was still doing well. They were always nationally ranked at the beginning of the year. UCLA was still kind of just out there. Now we have somebody who says that he understands the importance of a successful, thriving football program and what that does for the university as a whole, recruiting not just athletes, but also recruiting students there as well. So we'll just have to see. Now, he's only been on the job, I think, since January. So we'll just have to see how this all plays out. But it gives us an opportunity now where, with Chip, we were late in the hiring cycle when he left. Now we're early. Now we got a lot of time to figure out which direction we want to go and who it is that we want to hire. And we want to make sure that this is a destination, not a stepping stone. This is not a stepping stone job, where you try to make a name for yourself and parlay it into some other job. This is a destination job. You want to die here at UCLA. You want to, like the stability we had when Coach Donahue was there. You want somebody that's looking to be a lifer here at UCLA. Obviously, Deshaun would have been, this was the destination job for him, but it just didn't work out for him. So when we make a hire, and they have to understand the rich tradition in the history of the program as well, and bring back, try to get the older guys, the alumni, to come back. It's, I know Marvin, they have an easy time going back to USC games. It's no problem. For us, we don't know who to call. I mean, you call. It's so difficult to get a hold of somebody, and then when you do get a hold of somebody, they don't even know who you are. You have to explain who you are in order to try to get something. So those are some of the things that we talked about on the call. He claims he didn't know it, but that's been going on in the program for a long time. That just isn't with this, it hasn't been just going on the last few years. That's been going on for decades.
Really? Yeah, that's astounding, Mel, to hear that.
All right, Steve, do you have anything to say about this?
I mean, I feel for the UCLA fans. You get, as Mel was sitting there saying, you get a guy that was a former player, former guy in the program. That would arguably would have been a dream job for him. Then they're replacing him with Tim Skipper, who was basically a lifer at Fresno State. He was actually in interim status for them 2 different seasons. So you have a guy that's familiar with trying to pick up somebody else's mess. So you'll see what you get out of Tim for the rest of the season. But I'm almost certain they're probably not gonna stick with Tim Skipper moving forward. But crazier things have happened. So
I can tell you they're not.
See,
I can assure you that they're not.
But like I said, Tim's been in this situation before when he was at Fresno State. So.
That's one of the reasons why he's in this situation now.
Yes, sir. But hopefully we can see UCLA return to its glory, or some type of remnants of that glory. But we'll see how it all plays out, my friends.
All right, Katie, have you had a chance to chime in on this one?
I have not.
Go ahead.
So with the new realm of college football and NIL and the transfer portal, it is crucial to get the hires right that will recruit the right players for your program. And like Mel said, at least they're getting a jump on it now. Like, I don't know who's out there. I mean, Nick Saban's out there. You just never know. I'm just throwing. But in all honesty, like you have your quarterback there. You've got some recruits that you've already recruited now. You have to re-recruit them when a new coach comes in, because that's the reason people can transfer out quickly too. So this will be a very interesting time for UCLA with them, just joining the Big Ten a couple years ago, and now another new coach to see what kind of recruits they can get. So they're going to have to get a good name, I think, to really get some good recruits in there.
They got
Right, you know,
52 guys that have been there 3 or 4 months. They signed 52 people in the transfer portal. That's not going to get it done. They don't, they're just hired guns.
Right.
And you don't. There's no camaraderie. I mean, we talk about it. I mean, I've talked about it before. I mean, how do you build some continuity, some camaraderie with guys? I mean, I can tell you some of the things, some stories about things that guys that we went through in the 4 years that I was there. And guys will call me today and say, "Man, if it wasn't for me meeting you, I would have never been exposed to this." If you don't have an opportunity to build relationships when you're transferring, when you're at 3 schools.
Yep.
How do you build a relationship with folks?
Mhm.
that's true. That's true. All right. Well, I know we could talk about this time and time again. I'm glad we got it in. Obviously, it's been a really stressful situation up in Westwood for sure. You know what? We're going to stay on the college side. Candy and I saw the Miami Hurricanes crush the University of South Florida Bulls, my alma mater, 49-12. LSU defeats Florida 20-10. Miami will host game day in Coral Gables this weekend. This figures to get worse for the Gators and coach Billy Napier. Napier would have to win 28 games in a row to match the winning percentage that got his predecessor Dan Mullen fired. Get this. The Gators are 68-48 since 2016 with a 58.6% winning percentage. Now, in those 2 losses, in fairness to Florida, Napier's defense has only given up 2 touchdowns, the 18-16 loss to UF. And that's the amazing part about the whole thing. You got the 18-16 loss to and the 20-10. Now, with that said, that Mullen is responsible for 21 losses in the 4 seasons. So that's now this makes it even more interesting. When you think about Dan Mullen, he's always a name that will be floating around. But let's go back to the Miami USF game first, okay? USF head coach Alex Golish handled the tough loss with class. I want you to check out everything on the YouTube South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. I was able to get a few questions in there, and that is really pretty neat about the way he handled it. I asked him a few questions, but USF does face South Carolina State at home this weekend. That's the alma mater of Robert Porcher, formerly of the Lions. But USF's loss to Miami knocked out the Bulls out of the top 25. They were currently 18th. So, Mel, start off with the USF side. Everything was going good for the first couple weeks, and all of a sudden they ran into a Miami team that to me is gangbusters.
Well, they're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. Everybody knows now. Nobody wants to have that on their resume that they got beat by South Florida. They're the little sister in the state of Florida, and you don't want that on your resume that you were the program that lost to South Florida. They may be up and coming, but they're not there yet. And so, everybody knows now that you have to take them seriously. It's not one of those games where you can just, count on maybe playing a half or whatever, and you try to go out there and try to get you 100 yards and a couple TDs, and you know that you're going to be sitting in the second half. They know that these guys are for real, and that you better bring your A game. If you come in there with your C game, you could go home with an L. So, they're not sneaking up on anybody anymore. Everybody kind of knows who they are, and has had an opportunity to look at film on them and study them and see where their weaknesses are. And, maybe they're being a little bit exposed right now. And then at the same time, you're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids, University of South Florida. They might think a little bit bigger. They might be starting to believe some of the press clippings, some of the things that the people are saying about them as well, and forgetting that, what made them successful, forgetting the things that made them successful, that maybe they're not executing the same way that they were executing in the first couple of games. Now, I haven't watched South Florida play. I certainly didn't watch. I think you said Miami was playing Bethune-Cookman or somebody like that. I certainly didn't tune into that. I haven't even watched UCLA play this year. So I like watching good. I like watching good football. I'm not into watching bad football, no matter who it is. So we'll see. I mean, this week is going to be interesting to see for Miami and Florida. Obviously, Florida. Right. Did they lose last week? They lost last week, didn't they?
LSU, yeah.
Yeah, that was you, 20-10. And by the way,
Yeah.
like I mentioned before, in those two games with the Gators, their Gators defense has only given up 2 defensive touchdowns, so their defense has played good. Their offense, unfortunately, has not been able to get on track. In fact, Steve Spurrier went on record saying there's nothing wrong with yelling at your quarterback like Brian Kelly did with his. So, what are your thoughts about what you expect with the Miami Florida game, Mel?
It's going to be a tough game for Florida. Their quarterback has not been playing very well.
Right,
They
right.
might need to take a look at that. Yeah, he might be super athletic and so forth, but if he can't play on schedule, and if they're not able to convert on third down, if he's not, if you can't do those things and extend drives and keep Miami's offense off the field, that makes it very and putting their defense in bad situations makes it very difficult to win. And so it's something that they may have to look at is they got to get better play out of that position. Otherwise, it's going to be a long season.
Candy, you saw the Miami game and you know what the Gators are up against. We're going to be there with me. Go ahead.
So the Gators, and granted, I understand LSU is a good, tough physical opponent, but DJ Lagway on this when you played LSU, he was 33 of 49 for 287 yards. He had 1 touchdown. He had 5 interceptions. Against Miami's defense, they're going to chew him up. I mean, I'm sorry. Yes, USF played the first 2 games really well. And I think that gave Miami some really good film. And I think their coaches really looked at that because I would say from being there on the field, we really disrupted Byron Brown and their USF quarterback. And his timing with his receivers just wasn't there. He felt rushed a little bit. We were getting good pressure on him. And so Florida's quarterback, Lagway, he's better watch out because Miami's defense is tough. They're big and they're physical. And they're good. So,
And that's what you saw against USF?
well, like I said, that the
Yeah.
defense came and played and it forced Byron Brown, the quarterback for USF, to be rushed. And so his timing, he wasn't hitting all of the receivers because I think he was throwing just a little bit too soon because he had to get it away because otherwise he would have been sacked. And so I think give a lot of credit to Miami's defense on that game. I think they watched film and they were really – and the same with the offense side of things. They knew what defense USF was going to bring, and Carson Beck had a good game.
Okay. Marvin?
Yeah, I think USF is a program obviously that's still on the rise. The big 3 in Florida obviously is Florida State, Florida, Miami. I think they played a good Miami team. I don't think that they're a bad program. I don't think it means anything about where they are. I think it's early in the season, and they'll continue to get better. I think that Mario Cristobal and the Miami Hurricanes are much better than people realize, in my opinion. I think the Canes are for real, and I think we're seeing it here a little bit. Florida, I don't know what's going on with Florida. Their quarterback Lagway was a big name coming out of high school. His recruitment was such a big deal. Coming into his second season, you would expect to see something different. I guess it was brutal last game, but right now in the state of Florida, I think the Miami Hurricanes are definitely running the show.
Tommy?
I think we learned more about Miami from the USF game than any of the other games.
Right.
I watched a little bit of that game because I know Byron Brown. He's from Raleigh, so I was interested for that reason. And I know what the final score was, but USF was making some plays. They were competitive in the first half. It was still a game until midway through the second quarter, maybe late in the second quarter.
Right.
So, and what that says about Miami is that they were getting stronger as the game went along. They were able to take control of the game. They weren't the Miami team that has folded like they've blown games in the past last year. But Florida, yeah, they have all kinds of trouble on offense, but geez, give that defense credit. They only gave up 20 points to LSU, and they had Brian Kelly yelling at sports writers for asking questions about the offense not doing better.
Right.
So Florida's defense must be doing something right, because Brian Kelly even had to apologize. Didn't have to, but he did. For Brian Kelly to apologize, that's saying a lot.
Sure is. Stephen?
Well, as we were going over all this, right? Because I agree with Tom here. With we learned more about Miami from the USF game than we did the prior 2 weeks. But also agreeing with Eddie here that what we see going on here with Florida, I think Miami's about to unleash a whooping on the Florida Gators this coming week. If you're a betting fan, stay away from this one. This one could get ugly quick, because it's not looking like Miami's anything of an organized team down there. But USF looked pretty good a few weeks ago. They're like the third cousin down there in Miami. So you have to temper your expectations right there. And Carson Beck looks good down there in Miami. So you got to tip your cap to him and see how he's going to look. Over the next month or so, to see is Miami for real? Can they make a run this season? So we'll see how it all plays out, fellas.
Well, Candy and I have an interesting situation. Okay, here's what we have. Painting the picture for you. I'm the one who has to do the dirty work, or is volunteered to do the dirty work going in the visitors' press conference, so it could get ugly. I volunteered to go to Alex Golish's, and she got Cristobal. I'm the one who's going in the visitors again with Billy Napier. And if this thing gets ugly, oh my goodness, I can only imagine what's going on there, Marvin. Vigilant. I promise you, Marvin, and the rest of y'all, I will have stories to tell up the wang, no matter whether we got 25 or 2,000 on YouTube. It don't matter. Keep subscribing. I got stories, people. But I got a few one with Golish. I can only imagine with the Napier situation. Candy, all you got to do is just keep hitting that record button and let them all get in there. And I'll do the dirty work over with the Gators side. It'll just be an interesting way to see. But I truly think in this case, Miami should have no problem storming past the Gators. I really do. I think the Gators right now are really mentally whipped by a lot of people. They're alumni. They're all calling for Billy Napier's head. It's not going to get any easier. As we mentioned last week, there are 4 opponents are against top 25 caliber competition. So it's going to get interesting how we play it out in prime time. And, USF had problems the other day. We had a lightning delay, too, and that only prolonged the agony for the Bulls. So unreal. So let's stay on the University of South Florida side. This is something here which I really, really, really take very seriously, and I don't like it, but it's part of the nature of the beast. Former University of South Florida coach Jim Levitt was accused of battering 2 people, including his ex-girlfriend, and stealing Louis Vuitton bags worth over $5,000. Levitt built the USF program from scratch, and is supposed to be inducted in USF Sports Hall of Fame on October 2nd. Now, I'm going to say this, that we have an update. The charges have been dropped. Therefore, anybody that thought he should ever go ahead and that should be rescinded, I think is wrong, because number one, innocent till proven guilty has always been the way I've always thought of it. And I'm glad that cooler things worked out. But there was a sports writer in the Tampa area that thought it should have been rescinded, but I'm glad it worked out this way. So Mel, you know the situation. Whether if this had become more serious than it turned out to with Levitt, should he have still been enshrined in the USF Sports Hall of Fame, even though it's a given foregone conclusion that he will?
Yeah, I don't know enough about it to really comment on it. This is the first time I'm hearing of it. And, what I can say is when you're talking about domestic things, you got to be real, real careful.
Right.
And it is not, sometimes because of situations that can have an effect on a person's career, things get rescinded. Um, the the person who's being battered could be someone could be manipulating them or forcing them to rescind things because this could have long-term ramifications on his career,
Right.
obviously. So without knowing, having a lot of information and then really not knowing the details of it, I can't say one way or the other, this should happen or this shouldn't happen, because unfortunately, um, a lot of, in the court of public opinion, and that's what generally matters. And then, you're looking for, this is somebody who you're going to send your 18 year, you send your 18 to 22-year-old or your 18, 17, 18-year-old kid. And this is the person who's going to be around them and
Right.
influencing them. And it's going to be, they're going to be looking up to. And so that's a lot. When you decide that you want to be a coach at one of these universities, you have to be above and beyond reproach. And, you know, I don't know what he's doing right now. But I would think that I don't think he's that old of a guy, is he? I'm not sure.
I think
Um,
it's in his
68.
60s.
I mean,
68.
so I mean, I don't know if he's retired, semi-retired, or what the case may be. But where there's smoke, there's fire. So something happened. Otherwise, police wouldn't have been called. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So it's very difficult without me really having all the information for me to comment one way or the other, saying he should or should not be removed from the
Go ahead.
list
Go ahead,
for
Candy. You can
consideration.
research this if you want to.
So he served University of South Florida from the football program's inception in 97 to 2009, compiling a record of 95 and 57. So as a football coach, I mean, he's coached from Missouri to Iowa to Kansas State to South Florida to he was with Colorado, Oregon, Florida State, Florida Atlantic, SMU. He's done a lot of coaching. Um, as far as those charges, I, I'm kind of on the fence with like what Mel is. Until we get all of the facts, it's real. I wouldn't rescind anybody without knowing all the fact, because yes, you are innocent until you're proven guilty. Um, Maybe what I would have, until we got more facts, you put maybe if you had it planned, you put it on hold and say we need, whatever. But we live in a world now where sometimes people falsely accuse people of things as
Right.
well, and it goes both ways. So we just have to be very careful that I think the truth has normally a way of working its way out, and that's what we need to rely on.
Marvin?
No, I don't think that his candidacy for the Hall of Fame should be impacted by that at all. I think it should be separate. To be honest with you, I think people pick and choose when they want to be upset about somebody else's life and what they do, and what they do. A lot of people at home, are in toxic relationships where things are happening and things have happened. Relationships evolve, and things that people can tell you who are older that back when they were young, they were reckless and wild and crazy, and they're not like that anymore to their relationships. So at the end of the day, it's allegations that I guess you're saying have been removed, but no, it should not impact his ability to be in the hall.
Tommy?
Yeah, I only know what I've read about it. And it's a strange story. He's 68 years old and he's losing his temper with an ex-girlfriend at her apartment Doesn't say how old the ex-girlfriend was.
Right.
And there was another guy around that he shoved in the chest. But the police decided, or the prosecutor, I should say, decided there wasn't enough evidence to go forward with to prosecute him. I kind of agree that maybe it's not enough to keep him out of the Hall of Fame. But you got to wonder, how dumb is this guy to be 68 years old, getting in a fight in an apartment with an ex-girlfriend? That just makes no sense at all.
I think USF is trying to rehab him a little bit. I'll go over to Steven, then I have a couple stories I'll talk about the coach. Go ahead, Steven.
Well, you were all over the place with this one. I didn't know from your topics what we were talking about. I had to listen to everyone talk first.
Well, that's why I waited for you at the end so you could get a handle on it. Now you have a handle on it.
At first, I thought you were talking about the Dolphins coach.
Well, don't worry, the Dolphins are next. Don't worry, the Dolphins are next.
First.
Well, that's a good.
But from what I could see from articles that are written, that Jim got in an argument with his ex-girlfriend, and I guess there was an altercation where he grabbed her arm. They charged him because apparently there was some Louis Vuitton purse missing. They charged him with that on top of the domestic battery. I don't think anytime you get in an argument with a girlfriend, you should be charged with some type of things along these lines. I think that before those charges are brought on, that there should be a proper investigation, as Eddie was kind of alluding to. But I do agree. Like sometimes you gotta wonder. Like regardless of ages, like sometimes are arguments worth it? Like you just sometimes just let someone think whatever they say, do whatever they want to do, as long as they're not damaging your property or impeding you from living your life. Let them say whatever they want. We need to learn better of de-escalating these type of situations, regardless if you're a 68-year-old man or a 23-year-old man. You can't let words get the best of you. We tell athletes all the time, don't get instigated into a response because somebody said something out of some crazy nonsense. A lot of times, when you're dealing with an unhinged toxic Zeph, they're trying to get a response out of you, so you wind up getting in trouble. So all around, he needs to use that thing in between his ears a little bit better and not get himself in that. But I don't think this should be keeping him out of any discussion. From what I'm seeing, like I said, it was just he grabbed her arm. He probably should just let her walk away.
Yeah, and I'm sure by now he's done anger management. Here's what I know about Jim Levitt. The first time I ever met him, I was covering a homecoming game over at Raymond James Stadium, and him and I had a few words on the field. Yes, yours truly, Marvin. Him and I said, because I wanted to get an interview with him on the field, and I got him to cave in because I was louder than he was. Now that shouldn't surprise anybody that I could be louder than anybody, right, guys? Right and gal? So he agreed to do it when I was louder than him. Hey, let me ask you a question. You want to promote my alma mater that you're, and then all of a sudden I'm looking at him with the old big old stare down that Clubber Lang would give Rocky. Okay, I'll do it. And then it came out, and then our past out later. Oh, he gave it to me, all right. Well, we got along good. It was just what you call tough love, USF love. I was the Bulls are the right fit for me. I'm a Bull, just like they are. That's what you had, was a lot of Bull on the field. So yeah, he's rough around the edges. I get it, but you can't keep him out of the Hall of Fame. Again, at the time the story was reported, everybody's looking at taking it away. You can't take nothing away because there's due process. Ever heard of Duke Lacrosse? I know Tommy has. Okay. Ever heard of Trevor Bauer? Yeah, look at all these false accusations. You can't do that, and it cleaned itself out. Now, I'm a little disappointed in a writer that went out there and made these things where you should take it away without getting all this. I won't mention his name because I actually used to work with the guy, but get real. I hope by the same token at the Hall of Fame that he's able to clean his mess up, because that makes our industry look bad. All right. Now everything was all settled. Now you have to rescind what you had done. So let's face the reality. If you're going to write it, you better own it, because now he was more innocent once the facts got out. Now, Jim belongs in the Hall of Fame. And I'm going to tell you something. Without Jim Levitt, there wouldn't be any USF football. The USF Bulls wouldn't have been number 18 when they went out there and took on Miami over the weekend. I wouldn't have had the unbelievable game experience just to be around this university. I'm proud of both universities, Miami Hurricanes and USF Bulls, and it just to me is unbelievable. Now leave Jim alone. I hope the writer comes to his senses and owns up to it as well. I really, really do. Now let's stay in Miami with the domestic thing here because Steven was definitely right. I was going to attack this one next. After all, he does know me well. Miami Dolphins linebacker, outside linebackers coach Ryan Crow, who should be eating crow, okay, was arrested in Fort Lauderdale after a domestic disturbance and has been placed on administrative leave. All right, Mel. Miami violence. Oh my goodness! This as if the Dolphins don't have enough problems as it is being 0-2. Now Crow has to eat crow, and the Dolphins, and it won't be long before the coach is unemployed. What are your thoughts, Mel?
I mean, that's a program in disarray right now, and that doesn't help. Coach is on the hot seat. Tyreek is doing his thing. People are talking mess about Tua, and then you got this guy. I mean, I don't know what he's thinking about. Snatching up his girlfriend and stuff like that. Whatever he was doing, it's just not. It's not a good look for somebody in that position, and it's certainly not a good look for a man. And someone who is a father of 5 beautiful daughters. I'm always gonna stand up for the ladies, and I don't know what he was thinking, but evidently he didn't want that job anymore. I guess maybe he wanted to do something else, but it's just not a good look. I mean, and it just tells you, man. I've always said, there's no grown-ups in that locker room. There's no grown-ups in that organization right now. That organization is in disarray. You see by the way that they play out there on Sundays. It's an unfortunate situation, but he's going to have to live with the consequences.
Candy?
He's facing a charge of touch or strike battery domestic violence, according to a Broward sheriff's jail records. I've said this before. When you are in a position of power like you are, and you're in a league like the NFL or any of the major leagues, you need to conduct yourself in a different way because you don't want to get caught up in some of this. And there's absolute no reason for battery. We've lost respect for people. We've lost patience. We've lost our cool. We get upset and we lash out, and that's never right, no matter who we're talking about. And it's just sad. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. I mean, the Dolphins are sad right now. They're in a disarray. This does not help them at all.
Marvin?
It's unfortunate, these things happen in our society. The NFL is a microcosm of society. I mean, listen, there are police stations all over the country that deal with domestic violence and battery and that kind of stuff on a daily basis. We tend to, highlight if it's an athlete or a coach or somebody, in this space, then it's a much bigger deal. We get very judgmental about them. But it's unfortunate for the organization because, again, they're losing not only on the field, but they're losing with their leadership. So, it's a bad look. You hate to see it, and you hope that in this situation that he can get some help, and whoever was violated could also be healed.
Tommy?
What is it? Jimmy Fallon has the show about crazy things in Florida. The first thing I thought about when I heard this story, because I don't know anything about this guy, was it was just a few years ago when the Dolphins coach was doing cocaine on his desk and sending a video to his stripper girlfriend or something. And she exposed it.
Only in America.
Right.
Don't these guys have a football team to coach? I mean, how do you
right.
get into I don't know what the story is with his girlfriend or his wife or whatever it is, but how you get into a big argument when you're trying to coach a football team?
Right.
It makes no sense. I don't have any sympathy for him. I mean, I don't know anybody. I know it happens all the time in CS society, but I don't know anybody in my circle of friends where we talk about it. Did you hear about so and so hit his wife? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Steven, you want to try to make some sense out of this one? You know the guys that you throw.
Make sense out of what? Out of yet again, we were just kind of going along those lines of just before this, right? So
Right.
you get into an altercation, an argument, you just let the words be the words. When you're putting your hands on your partner, shoving her to the ground, and people viewing you doing that, thankfully in his case at this point in time, she wasn't injured. She refused to give a statement, so he has that side of it going on to it. But I'm gonna say it like this, dude: just control your emotions. That's like when you're putting your hands on your partner in front of police officer and they physically see her up off you knock her up off the ground, you're gonna get arrested. You're gonna get charged with something. Obviously, it looks like that his partner hasn't given any statements nor claimed any injury, so he's got that part of it too. But again, just guys, we got to make better decisions, regardless of what's being said or what's going on.
The only thing I'll say about the Miami Dolphins, they're an absolute mess in every way, shape, or form, on the field and off the field. Whether it's their communications department, they can't return any emails, and I don't mind mentioning that because they are what they are. On top of their coaching staff, on top of the players, this organization has not won a playoff game in 25 years. It's pretty hard to do not win a playoff game in 25 years. And now you have a coach, okay, for a domestic disturbance. It doesn't get any worse than that. Of course, it didn't help this weekend when Andrew Borregales, okay, kicked a couple field goals, the former Miami Hurricane kicker, to beat him over the weekend. But let's stay with the University of Miami theme a little bit. As Cam Ward this weekend in the last two games has been sacked 11 times in two games. But the Titans quarterback problems started in mid-July when Will Levis underwent season-ending shoulder surgery. And after how that's going to affect his future down the road. Okay, Mel, let's talk about Levis first. Okay, what are your thoughts about Levis? And we know that Cam Ward was going to a bad team to begin with. So we know that he had his work cut out. Well, let's start with Levis and then graduate to Ward.
Well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Is Levis was who he thinks he is, or who the player he thought he was. They wouldn't have drafted Cam Ward, and then they drafted Will Levis. What, in the second round or what was it, second or third round a few years ago? I mean, he was one of those guys. He's one of those players that people were talking about that could be potentially a first round draft pick. Some people were very, very high on him. If he was as good as advertised, they would have drafted Cam Ward. So there's no controversy there. Cam Ward is the quarterback that is his team, and the only way you can get better is to play. And the NFL is different and I know he's got a lot of snaps under his belt because he's played a lot of football at 3 different universities, I think it was. And he's played a lot of football, so he's seen a lot of stuff. And he's just going to get better as time goes on. The NFL it's a different game. These guys, it's not incarnate word where he started out. I mean, these guys are impeccable athletes, and they can run, and they're big, and they're fast. And the coordinators, they're sneaky, and they game plan for you. And what he's doing, probably, if he's been sacked so many times, he's just holding onto the ball, trying to make that perfect play or that big play. You just got to take what the defense gives you. Sometimes you just got to live with that. And it may just be dinking and dunking for right now. Eventually, that's going to loosen it up so you can get that shot downfield. But you just got to trust the process, trust his eyes, and just let it fly, just like he did in college. He's just got to let it fly. Don't sit there and try to make the big play. Look here, it's going to take a long time to prove that he can't play. It's not as long as it used to. I mean, they got quick quick leashes on these kids now, but he's going to get at least 2 years to prove that he can't play. So he just got to go out there and take advantage of all these opportunities, take advantage of all the snaps. I know he's in the film room, but he just got to trust what he sees, trust his training, trust his coaching, trust what he's seeing in practice, and he just got to go out there and let it fly.
All right, Candy, again, this is a two-part question. It's all about Levis getting hurt, and then we know about Cam Ward. Go ahead.
Levis was drafted the second round of the 2023 NFL draft. He had played for Penn State and Kentucky. He took over for Tannehill. If we all remember, Tannehill was sidelined with an ankle injury, and Levis made his NFL debut. One of the things that we've talked about before on the show is that these first-year quarterbacks, throwing them into playing, and yes, Mel, I understand that you need to play to really and get reps to really get better, but we've talked about how Green Bay has sat their quarterbacks for at least a year, and sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. I get that, but that then they can watch and they can observe and they can take in practice reps and stuff like that, and it's worked for Green Bay. And I get Tennessee was a bad team, and that's why you have the number one pick. You're not bad just because of one quarterback. You're bad because the whole overall team. So you've got your offensive line obviously is not doing a good job, because if Cam Ward's gotten sacked 11 times, and Cam can move, so it's not like he's just a sitting duck sitting back there. So obviously you have problems with your offensive line. Your receivers aren't getting open. There's a lot more that just one quarterback is not going to fix.
Well, Green Bay drafted 2 quarterbacks when they didn't need a quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they had the luxury of being able to sit guys.
Correct. That's true.
Marvin?
But that's been what they've, their MO for the last couple of years.
I'm a guy, I still think that David Carr wasn't a bust. I think he went to a bad organization. And the common denominator between these two quarterbacks we're talking about is the organization. And all you hear about is how organizations ruin quarterbacks. And, and quarterbacks get labeled as, I listened to Caleb, when his family was talking about they didn't want to go to Chicago. Well, he's in the NFL 2 years already. He's already had 3 offensive coordinators and 2 head coaches, because you want to avoid these situations. So I think Tennessee has an issue of potential evaluation. And then from there, when they're drafting high, what are you doing to protect the kid? This kid's a number 1 overall pick. We're only 2 games into the season. You're talking about 11 sacks already? That's not good. You know what I'm saying? So I think you have to look at leadership in this situation over the players. That's what I think. And I hope they figure out fast how to protect this kid and not ruin him.
Great comments in the chat room by Mike Patton. Actually, receivers are getting open. Time is the only thing there. Well, no question about that. I have a front row seat to all Titans games. Actually, thanks a lot for the contribution, Mike. Much appreciated. They actually did spend money up there. Also, right tackle was out of the second game. So bad luck. I tell you what, Candy and I cover the Hurricanes. You got a good quarterback in Cam Ward. I just hope he has an opportunity to live up to the hope that you have. I hope at some point Xavier Restrepo will make a little difference. Go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, what I think about is they don't have any kind of veteran around here to help him. You look at the Panthers, and they signed Andy Dalton. And he's been a mentor for Bryce Young, and when Bryce Young has struggled his rookie year, Andy Dalton would come in. Who did the Titans just sign? I mean, they don't have any kind of leadership for him to follow and to learn from. So, getting back to the organizational point, it looks like the Titans are just in disarray on this.
Yeah, I think the thing is that's why I think they wish they had Will Levis, because Levis would have been a good backup quarterback. Unfortunately, you don't have him either. But yeah, Cam will be fine. Restrepo will only play if an injury happens. Yeah, he's a practice squad guy, but we saw him play. He's a heck of a player. The only thing that ruined him was unfortunately his 4'8" and the 40, and that's what caused him to be undrafted. Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
I don't know why there's any quarterback situation. I mean, you just drafted the kid. We're in week 2.
Right.
Like, let the guy learn. You know, he's gonna take his bumps. He's gonna have some rough games. He's gonna have games where they're gonna lean on him, and you're gonna have to see how he responds. So, I mean, I'm not worried about Cam Ward. I am worried about the organization because they've been an absolute shit show for the better part of the last handful of years. You know, they have. You have to see what direction they're gonna take this in. We'll see what it's going to be, but I mean, you'd like to have some type of legitimate, veteran leadership that there. You don't really see any. I mean, outside of Mike in the chat, I'm sure that none of us can name more than 5 players on that team. So I mean, you have to see what the Titans are doing. I mean, they were a very good franchise for a long period of time, and we talk about one of those dirty little C words, culture. Man, culture's a thing, and if you don't have it, then it's going to be a tough thing for a young quarterback, for a veteran quarterback. They need to build that franchise out, and I can't actually sit there and say I think the Titans are going to be, trending in the right direction. So we'll see what happens. But I like Cam Ward. I hope he's successful there. Hopefully he can be the barometer of change there for what's going on there in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him. Mike Patton, by the way, you're welcome to come on any show you want. We'd love to have you as a contributor. I don't know if you know who knows him, Steve or whatever, but Mike, the door's always open. I love what you bring to the chat, and we certainly love to have you on camera on the air. So feel to reach out to us either in our chat or go to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com. You're always welcome to come on our network anytime you want, Mike. Thanks a lot for your input in the chat room. All right, let's go back to college football. This is a really interesting one, a Southeastern Conference. Should Tulane-LSU rivalry be restored? Once upon a time, Tulane was an original member of the SEC, leaving in 1965. LSU leads the all-time series 68, 23-7. The last time LSU and Tulane played was in 2009. Tulane coach John Sumrall says, heck, we will even go to Baton Rouge, and maybe we will even play one in the Superdome. I don't know why we don't play. I want to play LSU. Well, you know what, Tommy? You're in college football. What are your thoughts about Tulane and LSU? Would you like to see it?
Sure, they're in-state rivals. LSU doesn't have a state rival. All the other schools are Group of 5. Tulane is Group of 5, of course, but they do have a long history, and they're in New Orleans. But a lot of the major schools won't play someone within their state. Bo Schembechler would never schedule the Michigan MAC teams. Ohio State would never schedule the MAC teams with Woody Hayes. That's changed now. And they're running up big scores on them. If Tulane is confident they're going to invest in football and they are they're riding a good streak here with John Sumrall coaching. They were in the American Conference Championship game last year and lost to Army in the final. And they're off to, a 3-0 start. And even though they lost their quarterback, their $8 million man to Duke. So it's on LSU to not be afraid to play them.
Well, think about it. You mentioned another interesting point. Then I'll turn it around to everybody else. Arkansas and Arkansas State played for the very first time. I always wonder why they never played. That's interesting. Yeah. So, you know what, Marvin, take a shot at this. What do you think of both Arkansas and Arkansas State and Tulane against LSU?
Listen, in regards to this Tulane LSU thing, college football is in the day of NIL. It's admirable that the Tulane coach is the one saying he wants to play the game, because the reality is Tulane isn't, they're kind of like UCLA. They're not committing the resources to football like
Wow.
the big boys are, you know. So yeah, it's admirable and it's cute until you have to line up against a $40 million roster. You know what I'm saying? And your kids have the highest GPAs. I mean, it's, you know, so you know,
Wow.
regards to Arkansas State,
Kick a program when they're down, man. Don't worry. We're not gonna be down forever.
kick them, set them on fire. What you mean?
We're not gonna be down forever, man. Get them in now.
Yes, you have, and yes,
Get
you
them
will.
all in now.
But no, in the day of NIL, I'm surprised that any of these small schools won't play big schools because it's such a horrible product on TV and demoralizing for the kids.
Candy.
The first meeting between the two teams was in 1893. The rivalry lasted for over a century with games played almost every year and a formal agreement to play annually from 1919 to 1994. Now, financial considerations, particularly the desire to keep home games at LSU's Tiger Stadium, led to the rivalry's cancellation in 2009. The 2006 contract for the two teams to play annually for 10 years ended prematurely due to a dispute over whether to play in New Orleans or Baton Rouge.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, nobody has an answer for the Arkansas State game. They just played for the first time. What do you think, Mel?
I'm not really interested in seeing more bad football.
All right, well, that summarize it. That'll summarize that one in a nutshell. Okay, well, let's go back. Let's go ahead to a station break. Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about its 40-plus years in the media business and how it has evolved. Old school new media versus new school media. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can find a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us, and then turn on your notifications so you get notified whenever we go live. We also, if you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise, call Scott, 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or you have topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
All right, we'll have some other information to pass along here. Matthew Stafford, when he beat the Titans on Sunday, has now defeated 31 of 32 teams. The last team left is the Pittsburgh Steelers. He won't see them until 2027. Tommy, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, he's been around for a long time, so he's had plenty of chances. Not always a good chance with the Lions, but what has he got? 4 or 5 years with the Rams now? So that's a pretty good
Super Bowl championship to go with it. But yeah, all right.
Yeah, so he's been around the league a few times. I'm sure that's not unprecedented. I'm sure a lot of guys have done that.
Right.
Guy that's been in the league for a long time, but yeah, it's a credit to his longevity, and you can't have longevity unless you have talent.
All right, man. We lost Steve to the internet. Hopefully he'll get back on soon, but we'll keep it rolling. Marvin, some thoughts about Stafford?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not just his longevity, but his longevity and his success on the field, because it's tough to win in this league, and the fact that he's been able to go through the entire league for the most part and collect wins, it says a lot about his status and who he is as a future first ballot Hall of Famer. Not surprising, considering he's in year 17, 18. He's been a starter in most of those years.
Candy?
So, okay, hold on. When I was looking it up, I found that there are 4 quarterbacks that have actually, hold on. There are 4 quarterbacks that have beaten all 32 teams. Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. I believe, and I'm not positive. I was going to try and check this out. I believe Aaron Rodgers also has a chance to do that.
We got Brett Favre, Drew Brees. Who else you
Peyton
have?
Manning and Tom Brady.
Okay.
They're the 4 quarterbacks that have beaten all 32 teams.
Peyton Manning. Yeah. Okay. I
I
can
mean,
see it.
obviously, one of the things you have to do is you have to play in the league a long time, but you also have to not play for the same team in a long time. Now,
Right. True.
I know I had just read Aaron Rodgers had talked about it, and I think he's beat almost all of them, but he's also beaten some teams that are no longer even teams anymore, that have moved on to other franchises and stuff like that. But I mean, it's a testament to how long he has stayed good at his craft to be in that role and to be able to try and accomplish this.
Okay. All right. Who have we gone to so far? We've gone to Tommy and Candy, right?
Yep.
All right, Marvin.
Yeah, I spoke on Matt Stafford.
Oh, okay. All right.
Mel.
So Mel. Okay, Mel's left. I'm sorry. Thanks, Marvin.
That's all right. Well, Candy really kind of stole my thunder there. So, I mean, I think everything's been said on it. I mean, in order to beat all 32 teams, you have to play for 2 teams in order for that to happen. And so not everybody gets that opportunity. Obviously, it's a testament. You know, you have to be around for a while. You have to be good for a while. You have to be playing at a high level. You know, all those things have been said. So, yeah, I mean, it's just really a testament to the player that he is and who Matt Stafford is in the NFL.
Okay.
I actually would.
I was correct. Aaron Rodgers has a chance to do it this year as well because he does play Pittsburgh and they do play the Packers this year. That's the only team that Aaron Rodgers has not beat.
Okay.
I'm actually surprised that it's only 4. I would have guessed more. Joe Montana, or are we talking about maybe some expansion teams in Montana wouldn't
Well,
play?
there weren't 32 teams when Montana played.
That's the difference. Yeah, but I imagine guys like Montana have beaten every team they played, every team that was in the league.
Yeah, there's a little bit of there could be a little gray area there. I give you that one, Tommy. Okay. Lesser teams, but I get it. Go ahead, Mel. What were you saying?
No, I agree with them, but they weren't. You know, there were only 30 teams. I think when Montana played, I don't think there was 32.
Right.
If it was, it would have been much later. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, good subject.
Joe Montana beat all 28 teams that existed during his career with the 49ers and Chiefs.
Yeah.
Great idea, Tommy. I'm with you. 28.
I'm sure Johnny Unitas beat all 16 teams.
Yeah, right. No, there you go, Tommy. Bringing that old school philosophy. Well, let's say
you were there. You were there, weren't you? You and Scott, you guys were there.
Yeah, all right. I guess he's trying to throw the age card at us, right, Tommy? Okay.
Yeah.
When he watches us in action tomorrow night, he'll be able to throw that age card even further. All right, let's stay with the Tom Brady theme. Tom Brady and Chip Kelly discussed Raiders' offensive game plan 2 to 3 times a week. Big deal. Apparently, the NFL doesn't think so because Brady was in the booth again. You know, and let's face the reality. Jim Harbaugh beat the Raiders. Mel, what do you think? Do you think this is a bunch of clickbait, or does Tom Brady have every right to be wearing a headset up in the booth?
Not in his current job. No, I don't think he should be. I think
Conflict of interest.
I think there's a huge conflict of interest there. And look here. I mean, this is the Deflategate guy, right? Oh, I didn't do anything. I had nothing to do with the balls being deflated.
Right.
I mean, come on now. I mean, this guy wants to win at all costs. I mean, he says that. I mean, he's a competitor. So yeah, I don't think he should be in the booth with a headset on. And not in his current capacity. And it's not like the guy needs the money anyway, broadcasting. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he's okay. He's not very good. But, you know, he's Tom Brady. He's the GOAT. So, I mean, he can do what he wants to do. But I'm in the capacity that he's in, he should not be wearing a headset in the booth.
Candy?
So here's my thoughts. He can wear a headset in the booth as long as he's not part of any of the pre-production meetings where he goes and talks to the coaches and is privy to that information. If he's literally just thrown in game day, sitting there calling the game like all the rest of us could, that's different. But the minute you go into some of the team meetings and your prep work, you get to hear what they're trying to scheme for, what they're trying to do. And I heard that he's calling one of the games this weekend. I think it's the Bears game, and the Bears play the Raiders the following week. So,
How can you be a good color guy if you're not in the production meetings?
I understand, but he's played the game. He knows it so well. Does he really
But
need it?
you're providing more insight than just your knowledge of the game. I mean, that's what you're supposed to be doing. I mean, you
Right.
had the production meetings. You go in those meetings to find out more about the players, situations that are going on. I mean, I don't have to tell you guys. I mean, we all listen to football. We hear what they talk about.
Mhm.
Okay. Marvin?
Yeah, you can't have any type of competitive advantage in those situations. The conflict, if there's a conflict in interest or if that's in question, that's a problem. So that should be addressed. On the other hand, it's Tom Brady. You're talking about the most successful quarterback in the history of the league. I think it would make sense for Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll to incorporate him into anything dealing with that team's offense. I think it just makes sense for them. But yeah, if that in conjunction with his position at CBS, there should be no competitive advantage. So that would be an issue for me.
Yeah, well, the bottom line is he's a resource. He's a resource is what he is to him. I don't know what else to say. The NFL doesn't seem to have a problem with it. So what else can I say?
Yeah.
They're letting it go. Tommy?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, does he want to be a owner or does he want to be a TV guy?
Right.
Obviously, he's got to sit in on those production meetings to give a good analysis to the TV viewers, so they learn something from the game. And the only way he can gain good information is if the coaches and the players that he's talking to can trust him. Why would you trust him if you're from the Chicago Bears? Hank Stram. I always remember this Hank Stram story. He used to ask the coach to give him a tip on what play he might call at a certain time in the game, and then Hank Stram would make it sound like he predicted the call. He wouldn't.
Right.
He wouldn't tell. He'd been told that. So I put it on Tom Brady, and the NFL should come down on it. Is he an owner or is he a TV guy? Make up your mind.
Okay. All right. Let me go over some basic information here. I'm hoping that we get everybody's game of the league last week, but I want to get these points out there. Micah Parsons will make $25 million after taxes, despite signing a $47 million deal. The Feds get $17,390. The state gets another $3,600. $3,600,250. We'll call it 3.6 million dash 250. FICA $620,000. Total taxes 21.610 250. Too many digits. You get the drill. His net income $25,389 and $750. That's a lot of numbers for a guy like me to read anyway. But let's face reality. In Texas, he would have had no state income tax. He doesn't care. I guess he's just happy to be a Green Bay Packer. With that said, okay, just want to make sure we break down the particulars of that contract. Now, our buddy Herb Street always had something to say about things. He says, I know it sounds crazy, but I applaud Dallas in letting Micah Parsons go. It feels like Dallas did the right thing. Now, keep in mind, though, the Dallas Cowboys did sign Jadeveon Clowney a couple days ago as a depth of that pass rush. Mel, what are your thoughts about Kirk Herbstreit? Do you think he's a little bit out to lunch on this one?
Well, I mean, he's entitled to his opinion. I don't agree with it. When you draft someone, you should and you hit. You should be chomping at the bit to re-sign him, because now you're saying, hey, we did a good job. And also showing your other players that we're committed to investing in our own homegrown talent. We want to, draft our talent, and then we want to develop our talent, and we want to keep our talent. So no, I don't agree with it. Now, I mean, there's a couple sides to it. I mean, I can understand why Jerry did it. It doesn't make any sense. I can understand what he's saying as to the reason why he's telling everybody that he did it. but I don't think that his intentions were to do that, because if he really wanted to do that, he would have done that back in March, back when free agency began. He would have shipped Micah Parsons out at that particular time. Now, maybe he didn't have a dance partner then. I don't know, but no, I don't think that was. I think the timing was terrible for it. And the type of player that Micah Parsons is, I don't think it. And then look at what they're doing. They can't rush the passer. I mean, they can't get off the field on third down. Look how they're performing right now. They signed they signed Clowney because they don't have a pass rush.
Right.
Now, is he the answer? Is he the answer? I doubt it. I mean, if he was the answer, he'd have been on somebody's roster. He's 32 years old. He's obviously past his prime. Really never lived up to his, all the potential that people thought he had. I've always said I really question how much he loved the game. He made one play against the University of Michigan, and all of a sudden, he just blew up, and that was it.
Yeah,
He made one play. That was it. That's all I ever saw. He flashed one time, and it was only because he slanted right into the ball carrier. And that's how he made his hay, and how he became the number one overall draft pick, and he lived off that for years.
And Candy and I were there to watch it, right? Candy, go ahead. We'll let you take the segue on the Parsons one, though.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm on the other side of it because I'm a Packer fan, so I'm on the receiving end of that Micah Parsons deal. How do you trade away someone that is proven in the now to get draft picks that you have no idea if they're going to pan out? You say that you want to win now. You're not like foregoing the season or anything like that, but yet you do it right before the season. Like, the timing was just awful for everybody, and even Micah said that. Like, but he's making his presence felt in Green Bay. From what I've heard, he likes it, but let's face it, he's been in Dallas for how long? And Green Bay is very different. But did Jerry make the right move? I don't believe so, but that's my opinion.
But what are your thoughts about Kirk Herbstreit's analysis? We've already talked about this a lot. Do you value a lot of what Kirk has to say, Candy, or not?
Normally I do, but in this regards, no.
Okay, good enough. Marvin?
It's a crazy comment for him to make.
Yeah.
In week one, all you heard about was how horrible the Giants were. The Giants go to Dallas in week 2, and Russell Wilson throws for 450 yards. What do you mean it was a good deal? They barely could beat the Giants, who are horrible, and an old man Russ. So I think it's insane. And to think that, for you to think that he really likes it in Green Bay is like Hickory, North Carolina compared to Dallas, okay? There's no way in the world he likes it out. He likes it out there. Listen, the fans are great. I've been out there. I spent a little time with the Packers. Fans are great. It's football city, but no, that boy 1,000% would rather be playing for them Dallas Cowboys and living in Dallas.
Yeah, I'm with you, Marvin. I think Kirk Herbstreit's I like his analysis, but I think he's way off base on this one.
What do you know about Hickory? What do you know about Hickory, North Carolina?
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Hey, man, you'd be surprised, man. Hey, I've lived life, man. I've been out there.
Yeah, we had a store at Hickory. Hickory is like used to be the furniture capital.
Yeah, I remember that. But I know one thing. Jacob Christner. He's on Wednesday night on our network there, Marvin. If you ever want to come on the Sports Exchange and join Jacob, you let me know, and we'll make it happen.
I had a chance to meet him in person. He came out to we had an NFLPA event talking about prostate cancer. Jacob came out, nice guy. I'd love to be on the show. Give me a heads up.
I'll do that. He's on every Wednesday night on the Sports Exchange around 9:00. We'll put you in there one of these days. I got your thing. We'll make it happen. So he's on there. All right, Tommy, some thoughts.
Yeah, you don't think about Kirk Herbstreit towing the company line for Jerry Jones. So it is a strange comment because generally Herbstreit, you do like what he has to say. The guy I'd like to know what he has to say about that trade is Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, right.
Jimmy Johnson, of course, traded Herschel Walker when they were a bad team and rebuilding and got a lot of players in exchange for it.
Jerry's taking all the credit for that.
Right.
Well, Jerry Jones is talking like, we got all these players for him. They're not a rebuilding franchise. They're supposed to be playing for the Super Bowl every year. I don't get it. Herbstreit's comments were kind of interesting. That he was talking about Parsons' behavior on the sideline at games, that it was counterproductive. But I also blame that on Jerry Jones because he didn't keep the guy happy. He had a franchise player and he didn't keep him happy.
All right, just giving everybody an update about what's ahead next week. Okay, we'll be spending more time on Joe Burrow. I know that he's having surgery on his toe, but the Bengals, meanwhile, have added Sean Clifford and Mike White as backups, along with Brett Rippon as well for Jake Browning. And also, I believe what Desmond Ritter has been brought in to back up Carson Wentz as J.J. McCarthy got hurt. But we'll follow up on those stories next week. We're not going to get into them now. Our last segment of the night is this. Everybody's game, their top games last week. Go ahead, Mel.
Top games last week? Well, I like what
game stood out.
Well, the Lions, what they did to Chicago. I think a lot of people, thought that Chicago was ready, and it had arrived, and that Ben Johnson going there was going to make a big difference, and the Chicago was going to make some noise there in the NFC North, and that it's going to be between the Lions and the Packers. JJ McCarthy is hurt now. That could be a blessing in disguise. I'm not really sure, but
right.
because that defense does travel. But the Lions putting half 100 on Chicago was nice, especially the way they played in the preseason and the way they came out week 1 against Green Bay. It was nice to see guys running around wide open again. We hadn't seen that. So it was nice to see the offense do what they did. It's nice to see, obviously, Chicago didn't put up very many points. And there's some doubts now in people's mind about, Caleb, the relationship with Caleb and Ben Johnson, whether or not that's going to work or not. But I don't put a whole lot into that. But I think that was, that stood out to me, the way that they responded after really an embarrassing loss week 1 to Green Bay.
All right, Candy.
Mine is going to be what Green Bay did to Washington. I mean, winning 27-18. We had 404 yards to 230. I think most of us thought that Jaden Daniels would have had a better game. So that would have been that. And I do know Austin Eckler went down. There was a couple of key injuries in that game. Austin Eckler is one of them. You hate to see that, but he went down early. So their running game took a back seat then, I think. And that wasn't going
to make a difference.
Yeah, I felt bad for Austin Eckler. I had a chance to meet him, Marvin, everybody else over at the Super Bowl. What a nice guy. He gave me a few minutes of his time. What a class act. Hate to see that for Austin for sure. Also, I want to go back to the chat room. Mike Patton says, Alick and Manor is going to be a star wide receiver, actually, and then Trust give them 2 years. They'll be fine right around the time Tennessee opens up the new Nissan Stadium. Well, look for that update. Thanks a lot for putting in there, Mike, and we'll try to get back in touch with you. Okay. What about you, Marvin?
After looking promising in a week 1 loss, the Jets go out there and just get destroyed by the Bills. That the Bills look good. Josh Allen looked good. And waiting to see what was going on with Aaron Glenn and Justin Fields, and it was just a bad look. That was my week 1 takeaway, how bad the Jets looked in the second loss of the season.
What about you, Tommy?
Well, what I found interesting about the Lions and Bears game is Dan Campbell was getting questioned about how bad the offense looked against Green Bay in the opener, and Jared Goff didn't look good, and how much he missed Ben Johnson. And he got pretty testy with those questions. And I guess he was right. He scored 52 points. That was very interesting to see that on the way that played out. But I think the game that caught my attention more so was Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers going down the field the way they did. And I really can't tell you a lot about their roster, but I heard somebody on one of the networks talking about how they have all the pieces to make a deep run in the playoffs. and also, of course, Baker Mayfield is having the best years of his career after his time in Cleveland. It didn't work out well, and then, of course, Carolina didn't work out well. And now he's finally having a strong career, which shows you, we talked about this earlier, if you got to be with the right organization, the right coaches, and that makes all the difference, especially with a quarterback.
Well, Todd Bowles done a well of a job on Tampa, that's for sure. As far as the Lions and the Bears game, everyone's wondering, did Dan Campbell run? You better believe he did run it up. Look, the guy who went out there and tried to steal all of his coaches, try to get a few players, and of course now he sees both his assistants going down 0-2, and they took jobs that were simply bad jobs.
There's no running up. There's no running up in the NFL. Everybody's getting
exactly.
paid.
But he's trying to send him a message. Yeah, I'll put 52 up on you. I don't care. You want to take my coaches? You want to take a few players? It's not easy to win in the NFL. Once upon a time, Mel, Jan started 0-13. His first, what was that? His first season was 3-13-1, and lost a lot of games until he finally got it figured out. Matt Johnson's going to find this league isn't that easy. And of course, he had Caleb Williams not helping matters out at all. But yeah, he put a 50 spot and didn't mind doing it. He really didn't mind doing it at all. And if Aaron Glenn walks in the door and he gets a chance, he'll put another big spot on him too. But again, the Lions have a tough battle against the Ravens coming up next Monday night. That's for sure. But I think the one that stands out to me is actually the Philadelphia-Kansas City game. How Philadelphia is able to win a defensive struggle against Kansas City. Everybody expected a lot of offense in that game, but it wasn't. But Philadelphia, the champs as they are, pulled it out. But yeah, as far as the Lions, there's a little bit of incentive to put a few points up, and they did exactly with that. So I won't say it for Steven, but I actually was intrigued about what happened with Philadelphia and Kansas City. And as we started the top of the show, Kansas City will get it figured out, but Philadelphia is proving that Vic Fangio certainly knows what he's doing a job. Another reject from the Miami Dolphins that nobody wanted to play for Vic Fangio. What he do? Go up I-95? I'd say he's doing pretty well up in Philly for sure. Vic Fangio as well. So with that being said, as we get ready to wrap it up, Mel, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
Follow me on all the social media at Melfar Jr. Follow what we have going on here for the youth here in Detroit at melfarsuperstarfoundation.org.
Okay, Marvin.
You can find me on Facebook as Marvin III. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, and God, I forgot something else. Marvin on the mic.
Okay, Tommy. And Tommy and I will be doing the Motor City Mad Mouse show as well. We're going to talk. Give them a preview of what we're going to be talking about tomorrow night, Tommy.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about my books that tell the true story of college football integration. That started with Duffy Doherty's leadership at Michigan State and how it influenced college football coast to coast, how it's an untold story for a lot of reasons, primarily that the 1960s sports media and 1950s avoided race. They didn't talk about these kind of subjects, so the milestones were ignored. And that's true. You go all the way back to Jackie Robinson. And when he first broke into Major League Baseball, there was not the big story that it would be now. It was mentioned deep in the stories. It wasn't the headline of the next day's newspapers. So there's a lot of true history that's been lost. And it's not only unfair to Duffy Doherty, but all the black players that desegregated programs in the South, like Jerry Levias. You can find my books on my website and Barnes & Noble and Amazon. My website is tomshanahan.report. And my Twitter is Shanny4055, Tom Shanahan on Facebook.
Right, now, Tom, you know Jerry Levias is my cousin.
Yes, I do.
Okay. He's my dad's first cousin.
You got to read my book. I've got chapters on Jerry Levias. He's probably more important than any other player.
He just had a birthday a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I've talked to him many times. I haven't been able to get a hold of him recently because we want to include him in our documentary. But yeah, he's a great guy, very brave player.
He really is.
Hey, Candy.
All right, I might have to call you to track him down for me when the time comes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I just talked to him for his birthday a couple weeks
I
ago.
tell him why he's not returning my phone calls.
You know, Jerry's different. He don't like talking to folks.
Well, I guess that's why he's not. Well, that's why he's not returning your phone calls. So, all right, Candy, why don't you give everybody out in the audience an information about our series? Okay, go ahead and then do our station break. Go ahead.
I was going to do that. So, starting next week, Wednesday at 8:00, Scott is doing a series. He is talking to a 1994 U.S. Olympic bobsledder, and they're talking about CTE. We've talked about CTE with football players, but it's really prevalent in the bobsledding and bobsledders. And he's going to talk about one of his former teammates. He's going to talk about how he is trying to raise money for a hyperbaric chamber, because those hyperbaric chambers and oxygen really help people that have CTE. And so it's going to be a series trying to help spread the word to make some more money so that we can help fund other people to get treatment from them. But it is I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really great series. I've never talked to an Olympic bobsledder before, but if you think about it, it makes sense that the fast movement that they have, that CTE would be prevalent. But I had never thought about it before, and we've talked about it, here on football a lot. So I'm really looking forward to next week, Wednesday, 8:00 p.m. As far as my station break, what we have Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It's a book. It was written by Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40 plus years in the media business and how it has evolved. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. There's a link in our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there is a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you see that red subscribe button in that lower right-hand corner, that means you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel. I don't know what you're waiting for. Go check it out. We have all kinds of great content on there, too. But once you do, also hit the notify button so you get notified whenever we do go live. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you want to advertise or sponsor any one of our shows, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have questions or topic ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Back to you, Scott.
Hey, Jay, great to see you here in the chat room tonight. Been a really eventful show. If you get a chance, please go ahead and watch it, because we covered a lot of interesting stuff. Well, great job. I know we see Steven's internet. He's been communicating with me. He's been on the phone with them for about a long time, but we'll get him back next week. He was on for the majority of the show, but I'm glad we accomplished a lot tonight. I want to thank everybody for joining us here on this edition of Inside the Pigskin. Got another great show lined up next week. One of the things we're going to talk about next will be Desmond Watson, the former Florida Gator who got cut by Tampa due to weight issues. We'll get into that more next week, but we had a lot of ground that we had to cover, in addition to the fact that Candy and I have some major college football to talk about, and of course we have week 3 in the NFL. But on behalf of Stephen Reichel, Mel Farr Jr., Candy Ebling, and Marvin Powell III, and Tom Shanahan, my name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pigskin, and we will see you next Tuesday night, same time. And who knows, you might see a Marvin Powell III sighting on the Sports Exchange as we bring him on with Jacob Christer. We'll see if we can get that worked out for these guys. It'll be a great show to have them on. Hey, after all, they got a bunch of people in Atlanta. Why not bring this duo on together and they can talk? We love bringing on people in the same area to share the same airwaves, and we won't hesitate to do that. But thanks to everybody that participated in the chat room, and I want to thank our crew, all of them in their entirety, and we will see you next Tuesday night. Good night, everybody, and God bless. Bye now. Enjoy the weekend.